Oh boy, Danny, what have you gotten yourself into this time? So the Netflix live-action adaptation of Cowboy Bebop came out, and, that's it. That's the video. That's all I wanted to say. Good night, everybody! Okay, enough stalling. You've read the title, you've disliked the video, and probably clicked away by now, so I've got nothing to fear. Netflix's Cowboy Bebop is dog shit. Like, not a good show in the slightest. It is a truly educational example of objectively bad filmmaking. I cannot fathom most of the decisions made in adapting the original. But I don't know, it's like kind of fun though. But look, everybody's making videos bashing this show, and I completely understand that. If you watch my first impressions video, I was just as pissed as everybody else. The choices made by the director in this show range from ignorant to genuinely insulting to the source material and its fans. While I definitely sympathize and relate with the people who are pissed off at this series, I also begrudgingly understand the side that says it should just be enjoyed as a fun, silly show. And look, I am going to be bashing this show, but my goal here is to make both sides understand each other. It's reasonable for the fans to be mad, and it's also understandable why people are able to watch this just for fun. So allow me to be your avatar, bridging the divided nations with my powers of YouTube video analysis. Cowboy Bebop is a jazz noir about a group of space bounty hunters always chasing the next big hit. Man, what a cool fucking sentence that was. It began as a wildly successful anime in 1998, which Netflix decided to adapt into a live-action series in 2021. And I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you guys, there is reason to be mad. I keep seeing people saying things like, well, if you don't like the remake, just watch the original. The original still exists. This is such a dumb argument. Of course fans of the source material should be mad when the adaptation is bad. People love Cowboy Bebop. It's one of the greatest anime of all time, but it ended like 2 decades ago. Yes, the adaptation doesn't take anything away from the original, but there's only so much of the original to watch. So when fans heard that a live-action adaptation of the anime was being made, they were excited to think it would be a return to the unique universe they fell in love with. Then when they found out that the adaptation was a goofy fan film, directed by a man who I can only assume has never even seen a screenshot of the anime, of course they were mad. But it's not just, oh, this thing's different, I don't like it. It's this adaptation completely misses the point of the anime, and now I'll never get to see a good one. Fans deserve to be mad because the existence of this adaptation means that they will never make an adaptation that's faithful to the tone and style of the anime. And again, saying, well then just go watch the original is stupid because fans have already watched the original. This goes for anything that's adapted. Of course people want to see their favorite anime brought to life. Of course they want to see new adventures with the characters they love. But this tone-deaf adaptation kills any chance of that ever happening. But look, I'm not saying it's bad that this adaptation made changes from the original. I'm saying that the changes that were made feel weirdly hostile to the fans of the original and are just shockingly confusing. Don't worry, I swear to God I'm gonna start defending this show in a bit. But first, what's so bad about this show? Well, an abundance of things. Number 1, it's not cool. Not to be dramatic, but Cowboy Bebop, I would say, is objectively the coolest piece of media on planet Earth. And I don't mean like Attack on Titan cool, where everything's flashy and in your face. I mean the chill, subtle cool. I mean cool like your big brother who buys you and your friends alcohol before the 8th grade dance and lets you borrow his condoms, and you're like, but Devin, I don't need these. No girl even likes me. And he goes, you sure about that? And then your doorbell rings and it's, what? It's Stacy McAllister? But Devin, she's like the most popular girl in school. Well, tonight she's gonna be the most popular girl in your bed. What? Devin! Yeah, that guy's cool. Cowboy Bebop is slick, sexy, it's subtle, takes its time. There's a haunting tinge of sadness behind every character's eyes. Like they've all seen some form of pain but have long since calloused over it. It makes them feel complex and mature. There is no maturity to be found in this show. This show was written by a bunch of baby people. The humor in this is so awkward and edgy, and it all feels like it was written by some 13-year-old who just discovered South Park for the first time. Everybody's such a fucking spaz in this. Faye keeps calling Spike and Jet dickheads because she's like an obnoxious millennial instead of a confident and quick-witted bounty hunter. Spike's also weirdly awkward and comes off like he's trying to be cute for some reason. Like, I don't know know why Spike is like a weird little awoo boy in this, but he's so weirdly adorable. Even Ed, who's a spaz in the anime, is too much of a spaz here. How'd you do that? How'd you make Ed too spazzy? It's all just like cheap, spastic millennial humor, and you just wish that everybody would chill the fuck out. Also, so much of this humor is sex jokes, which again, where did this decision come from? The anime is sexy as hell, but this show is just kind of horny, like Tumblr fanfiction horny. Everybody's like a weird sex addict in this, which is cool. Look, I'm a freak. I'm not offended that, the adult show is making pee-pee jokes, but again, it just comes off as being written by like some immature teen, which is so weird considering the original is so mature. And I get it, why does everybody have to compare it to the original? But even when not compared to the anime, this writing would still be cringy as hell. It's just so ironic that in adding a ton of F-bombs and sex jokes, the Netflix adaptation actually made this show feel like it's for a younger audience than the cleaner version. Number 2, where the hell did this tone come from? Look, I'm trying my best not to compare this version to the anime too much, because I do understand that that's annoying. Plus, I'm really not the type of person who gets mad at an adaptation changing something from the source material just because I don't like change. Like, I totally understand that when adapting something from one medium to another, you've got to make changes. Edge of Tomorrow is wildly different from All You Need Is Kill, and it's one of the best modern sci-fi movies because of it. Change isn't inherently bad, but you've got to change things for the better, guys. You've still got to make a good show. Netflix, for some fucking reason, decided to change the entire tone of the show when adapting it. Why, out of all the changes, why that? The anime knew how to breathe. It took its time lingering on gorgeous shots, often not playing any music, letting the ambiance of the setting speak for itself. It made the world feel tired, empty, much like its main characters. It was reflective and somber, like smooth jazz. This show is bombastic and annoying, like Smash Mouth. And again, change isn't inherently bad, but this show changes so much about the source material's tone and themes that it makes you wonder why they even made it a Cowboy Bebop show at all. It just plays into the show's main problem, where it's just not very cool. The world feels over the top and cartoonish, ironically. And whenever something serious is happening, you never care because it's always sandwiched between some goofy ass shit. The episodes that were meant to be taken seriously in the anime were deadly serious. All of the episodes involving the characters' backstories are tragic and somber from beginning to end, letting the gravity of the situations really wash over you. There's some episodes that still give me chills to this day. I fucking tear up when I watch Faye watching the tapes of her past. Here, the tone is such a fucking mess, I never know how to feel. There's an episode where a woman is gruesomely turned into a tree. A goddamn tree! It's wicked graphic and horrifying, but it's got this wacky-ass music blasting over the top of it, and you're just like, what am I supposed to feel? This woman is literally getting spruced, and the music's just like... There's this other scene where the villain, Vicious, kills a warehouse full of naked drug slaves who all have their eyes sewn shut. Again, wicked dark setup, super gruesome scene, but it's shot so stupidly, and the music is so silly that you can't take any of it seriously. And this is what I mean when I say that this show is actually insulting to the source material. It took something that's mature and contemplative and turned it into a cartoon. It completely ditches the Western cowboy aesthetic of the original and replaces it with a cheap 70s B-movie one. It reminds me a lot of when Disney bought the rights to Star Wars from George Lucas, and he was like, cool, here's a list of my notes for what I had in mind for the next trilogy. And Disney just fucking threw them out. Like, it doesn't feel like they wanted to widen their audience. It feels like they wanted an entirely new one, completely disregarding what fans liked of the original at all. It just makes it feel like a... Number 3, it feels like a porn parody of Cowboy Bebop. I know I said I want to try and stop comparing this show to the original, but this time I want to argue that the adaptation didn't make enough changes. Because any time it tries to copy something from the anime, it just comes off as feeling cheap and awkward. It feels lazy, like they just threw something together half-assedly to appease fans of the show. I've seen a lot of people argue that animation is smoother than live action, and so of course these moments feel stiff, but that's just simply not the problem. The first time I saw Man of Steel, I remember saying to myself, wow, this is proof that a Dragon Ball movie could look good. These moments can still be done well in live action. The director was either just too lazy or incapable of doing so. This can be a dramatic shot in live action, but just look at how lazy it looks. The lighting is flat, there's no thought put into the cinematography. Even John Cho looks bored. He doesn't look like a man using the last of his strength to prop himself up. He looks like an uncomfortable actor who was positioned in an unnatural way and told not to move so they could copy this shot. One of these frames bleeds tension and passion, and the other looks like a cosplay reenactment. If the director wasn't capable of recreating the impact of some of these moments from the anime, I would have preferred he just change them entirely. This clearly doesn't work in live action, so your job is to change it until it does. Again, I swear to God I'll be defending this soon. Number 4, every shot is a terrible shot. This show is such a fucking headache to watch. Was this show shot by a mathematician from the Netherlands? Because every fucking angle is Dutch. What was this whole show shot on a hill? Why is it so goddamn slanted? I felt like I was drunk watching this entire series because every other frame is slanted at like a 40-degree angle. At one point, I did get drunk and I was terrified Spike was gonna slide right out of my TV. I understand this wasn't the show's fault, but my reason for drinking sure was. So many shots are fish-eyed and have a gross vignette on them for no reason at all. It's obvious the director wanted to go for a very stylized look, but the style has no reason behind it. It's just there to look quirky. The wacky cinematography never enhances any of the drama or comedy. It's just there to be unique. These shots don't mean anything. There's no motivation behind any of these crazy camera angles. And for the people who say, God, it's just a show, can't you enjoy anything without nitpicking everything? I promise you, every good director thinks this way. Every single director who actually cares about their film thinks, how does this shot enhance the story I'm trying to tell? Think of your favorite movie, and I promise you every shot was carefully poured over to make sure that it was saying something. This isn't nitpicking, it's filmmaking. And it would be fine that this show was choosing style over substance if every shot wasn't so fucking ugly. All the fight scenes are super slow and overly telegraphed. They feel like 70s kung fu movies, but without any of the impressive choreography or camera work. There is so many shots where it's clear the actor is just waiting for Spike to very slowly punch him, and it really feels like you're watching a middle school play. Not to mention, number 4, Vicious is insufferable. Oh my God, where did they find this man? I'm sure he's a very nice guy, maybe he's even a good actor, but what? Vicious is the most ridiculous looking man I've ever seen. He's got a grown man's chest and the arms of a teenage boy. He looks like Captain America with only half the super soldier serum. How can I tell his white hair is fake? Because this dude is absolutely covered head to toe in dark brown hair. Why would you cast the furriest man alive to play this role? I couldn't tell whether or not this dude was supposed to be a werewolf or just deeply Italian. He is also the veiniest man alive. I've never seen a person with so many veins in their shoulders. And medically speaking, I hope he's okay. He is also just simply not giving a good performance. But again, I really think it's the director's fault. He's just so upset over everything. Not angry, not intimidating, just upset. Like he's constantly throwing a tantrum. Vicious in the anime is a quiet, brooding, mysterious threat. This guy is an asshole. He just comes off as a petty bitch who dyes his hair and is always screaming. There's just nothing good about his performance. It's so over the top. Also, much like Spike, he's like 436 years old playing a man who's supposed to be in his late 20s. Why did they cast so old in this? And again, this wouldn't be a problem, but there are so many instances of people calling Spike kid or boy, and it's just like, this dude is 1,000 years old! What are you talking about? It's just like another very small example of this show having absolutely no attention to detail and feeling lazy in its decisions. Like you couldn't change those lines? Faye should not be calling Spike a kid. He's old enough to be her father. Whew, anyway. Now that we got all that out of the way, after I made my first impression video, which you should definitely go watch, I was dreading watching the rest of this show. I was pissed after the first episode, and I wanted absolutely no part in the rest of this series. However, as I kept watching, I found myself enjoying it more and more. No, the quality absolutely does not improve, and the points I made earlier all stay relevant. But I don't know. It's kind of fun. Once you come to terms with the fact that this isn't going to be anything like the original and start viewing it as a really expensive, terrible fan project, it becomes really enjoyable in a so bad it's good kind of way. And there are some things in the show that are done fine. The closest this show comes towards capturing the spirit of the anime is in the bounties. The criminals Spike and Jet face are all super wacky, but have weirdly well thought out and unique motives. They're all great. And you know who else is weirdly great? Jet? Jet's character is ripped straight out of the anime. Like, this actor does such a great job at capturing what made Jet so wonderful. He feels like a man whose lighthearted personality has been dulled by years of betrayal and heartache. There's also a scene of him dancing in a gas station, and it's like, genuinely hilarious. It goes on for way too long, but, you know, what do you expect? Actually, honestly, all of these actors are great. It's really just the material that they were given that's bad. Spike's annoying and Faye's obnoxious, but the actors breathe a lot of life into the characters. I am genuinely in love with Faye's actress, so that could be skewing my opinion a bit, but I just know the actors are the only thing making these characters charming at all. Look, the action's terrible, the writing ranges from bad to genuinely embarrassing, and everything about the show feels cheap. It sucks that because of this show, we'll never get a good live-action Cowboy Bebop adaptation. It's hard for some fans to watch this knowing how good it could have been, but if you're able to put those emotions aside and laugh at your own pain, this show is pretty damn entertaining. It's a really fun watch if you go into it from like a, God, how did they mess this up this bad kind of way. Like, it really is a fascinating watch in that regard. I understand the people who are enjoying this show just as some dumb popcorn fluff. If you're able to put your feelings aside, I'd say at least watch the first 2 episodes and see if you can have a laugh at them. At the very least, it'll make you appreciate the original even more. If you like this video, please consider subscribing. I put out roughly 1 video every week. I'm very active in the comments, and I love harassing my fans with polls. So if you want to be a part of a little YouTube community, come subscribe. We're great here. And if you are subscribed, please consider sharing this around. It helps a ton, and I will see you guys next time.
I come from the south side where they fill with the liquor. Drink this and let the body flicker. Water drips on your tongue like honey. Everybody in the sundress, and it's sunny out.